If you've spent enough time on Roblox, you've probably seen people do some wild things for Robux. People scam for it, beg for it, trade for it, and occasionally make entire careers around earning it. But every once in a while, a story shows up that sounds less like a gaming controversy and more like the plot of a cybercrime documentary. This is the story of a player who allegedly managed to steal over 150 million Robux. So absurdly large that most players can't even visualize it. To put that into perspective, the average Roblox player gets excited over a few hundred Robux from a gift card. A dedicated trader might have a few 100,000 sitting in their account. Some of the wealthiest collectors on the platform own inventories worth millions. But 150 million Robux is a different universe entirely. That's the kind of number that makes experienced traders stare at their screens, wondering if somebody accidentally added a few extra zeros. The craziest part is that this wasn't some movie-style mastermind operation involving secret underground hacker groups and dramatic keyboard smashing. Instead, the entire situation unfolded through a combination of security weaknesses, account access, trading systems, and enough digital greed to power a small city. Before we get into how someone allegedly stole that much Robux, it's important to understand why Robux has real value in the first place. A lot of people outside Roblox hear the word Robux and immediately think of monopoly money. They assume it's just some fake currency floating around inside a game. The reality is very different. Robux can be purchased with real money, used to buy limited items, traded between players indirectly through the economy, and converted into actual cash by developers through Roblox's DevX program under specific conditions. That means large amounts of Robux aren't simply numbers on a screen. They represent real value. In some cases, inventories containing rare limited items have been worth tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Entire communities emerged around collecting these digital assets. Certain hats became status symbols. Certain faces became legendary. Some items appreciated over time, like investments. Traders spent years building portfolios. Some treated Roblox trading like a full-time job. Now imagine spending years accumulating rare collectibles only to wake up one day and discover everything is gone. That's exactly where stories like this begin. According to reports surrounding one of Roblox's most infamous theft cases, an individual gained access to accounts containing massive amounts of value. Instead of slowly taking a few items here and there, the alleged thief targeted inventories on a scale rarely seen before. Limited items worth millions of Robux started moving between accounts. Trades appeared that made absolutely no sense. Valuable collectibles vanished from long-time owners and showed up elsewhere. The Roblox trading community immediately noticed something strange. When you're dealing with rare collectibles, people pay attention. A legendary item doesn't simply disappear without anyone noticing. It's kind of like watching somebody walk out of a museum carrying a famous painting. People are going to ask questions. Traders started tracking item movements. Screenshots spread across forums. Discussions exploded. Every time another limited item changed hands under suspicious circumstances, more players became convinced something massive was happening behind the scenes. As investigators within the community pieced together information, the estimated value of the stolen assets continued climbing. First it was a few million, then several million, then tens of millions. Eventually the numbers being discussed reached levels that sounded almost impossible. By the time estimates approached 150 million Robux, the entire situation had become one of the biggest scandals the platform had ever seen. Naturally, everyone wanted answers. How does somebody even steal that much value? The answer, unfortunately, comes down to a reality many players ignore until it's too late. The strongest inventory in Roblox means nothing if the account security protecting it is weak. Throughout internet history, some of the largest thefts haven't happened because criminals were genius hackers capable of breaking through impossible defenses. Many happened because somebody clicked the wrong link, reused a password, downloaded malicious software, or fell victim to social engineering. Social engineering is basically the art of tricking people into handing over access voluntarily. Instead of attacking a system directly, attackers target humans. Humans are often the weakest link in any security chain. Somebody might receive a fake login page that looks identical to the real Roblox website. They enter their credentials thinking everything is normal. Seconds later, an attacker has access. Sometimes attackers impersonate trusted figures. Sometimes they offer fake prizes. Sometimes they promise free Robux. Ironically, countless Roblox account thefts began because somebody wanted free Robux and ended up losing all the Robux they already had. In cases involving extremely valuable accounts, attackers often become much more determined. Wealthy traders are attractive targets because a successful compromise can produce enormous rewards. If someone gains access to an inventory worth millions of Robux, they don't need to repeat the process thousands of times. One successful attack can change everything. Reports surrounding the alleged 150 million Robux theft suggested multiple high-value assets were transferred through a network of accounts. This process makes investigations more complicated because stolen items don't remain in one location. They move. They get traded. They get sold. They get distributed across different inventories. Think of it like trying to follow a single drop of water after it's poured into a river. The more movement occurs, the harder tracking becomes. Roblox eventually became involved as evidence mounted. The platform has systems designed to investigate suspicious activity, reverse unauthorized trades under certain circumstances, and punish users violating rules. However, handling a theft of this magnitude isn't as simple as pressing an undo button. Every action affects other users. If stolen items have already been traded multiple times, determining who knew what becomes incredibly complicated. Some players may have unknowingly received compromised items. Others may have participated knowingly. Untangling that web takes time. The community, meanwhile, was completely captivated. Every update generated new discussions. Every rumor sparked debates. Some players treated the situation like a detective mystery. Others viewed it as proof that no inventory was truly safe. The entire event exposed an uncomfortable truth about digital wealth. Ownership often feels permanent until suddenly it isn't. A player can spend years accumulating assets, building status, and establishing a reputation. Then one security mistake wipes everything away overnight. That's terrifying. Especially in virtual economies where enormous amounts of value are concentrated into a handful of accounts. What's even more fascinating is how closely the situation mirrored real-world financial crimes. You had valuable assets. You had unauthorized transfers. You had investigations. You had attempts to track movement across multiple accounts. You had community analysts effectively conducting their own independent investigations. Remove the word Robux and replace it with dollars, and the headlines would sound surprisingly familiar. That's because digital economies have matured far beyond what most people realize. Virtual items aren't treated like simple game rewards anymore. Entire markets exist around them. People assign value to scarcity. They assign value to demand. They assign value to prestige. Once value exists, theft becomes inevitable. Somebody somewhere will always try to take shortcuts toward wealth. One of the most interesting aspects of the controversy was watching reactions from ordinary Roblox players. Many couldn't comprehend how someone could possess 150 million Robux in the first place. The average player logs in, buys an accessory, customizes an avatar, and moves on with their day. Hearing about inventories worth millions feels almost mythical. It's like hearing about a billionaire losing a yacht. Most people aren't operating on that scale, so the numbers become difficult to process. Yet the emotional impact remains understandable. Nobody likes the idea of losing something they worked hard to obtain. Whether it's 100 Robux or 150 million, the principle stays the same. You earn something. You expect it to remain yours. When that expectation breaks, trust gets damaged. Roblox has spent years improving account security features. Two-factor authentication became increasingly important. Login verification systems improved. Security notifications became more common. Educational resources warned players about scams and phishing attacks. Despite those efforts, attackers continuously adapt. Every platform with valuable assets faces the same challenge. Security isn't a destination, it's an endless race. Defenders improve protections. Attackers search for new weaknesses. The cycle repeats forever. Looking back, the alleged 150 million Robux theft serves as one of the clearest examples of why digital security matters. Most players hear warnings about strong passwords and immediately tune out. Security advice isn't exciting. Nobody wants to spend their afternoon setting up authentication apps. People would rather customize avatars or play games. Unfortunately, attackers depend on that mindset. They count on people prioritizing convenience over protection. Then, when disaster strikes, the consequences arrive all at once. The story also highlights how far Roblox has evolved from its early days. This isn't a platform where players stack simple blocks and call it a day anymore. Entire businesses operate inside Roblox. Developers earn significant income. Traders manage inventories worth incredible amounts. Virtual economies generate real-world consequences. A theft involving 150 million Robux isn't a funny gaming prank. It's a major incident involving assets with substantial value. Even years later, stories like this continue circulating because they represent something larger than a single theft. They symbolize the growing intersection between digital worlds and real-world economics. As online platforms become more sophisticated, incidents once considered impossible start becoming reality. Virtual fortunes emerge. Virtual crimes follow. Communities respond. Platforms adapt. The cycle continues. And somewhere out there, a player is probably ignoring a security warning right now because they think it won't happen to them. That's usually how these stories start. Nobody expects to become the victim. Nobody expects their inventory to disappear. Nobody expects to wake up and discover years of accumulated value vanished overnight. Yet history shows the same lesson over and over again. Whether it's Roblox, cryptocurrency, social media accounts, or online banking, security only feels unnecessary until the exact moment you need it. The alleged theft of 150 million Robux stands as one of the most jaw-dropping examples in Roblox history. Not only because of the insane number attached to it, but because it proved that virtual wealth carries very real risks. Behind every rare item sits a person. Behind every inventory sits years of effort. And behind every massive theft sits a reminder that sometimes the biggest stories in gaming aren't about defeating bosses or reaching max level. Sometimes they're about watching one of the largest digital fortunes on the platform disappear into the shadows, while millions of players stare at their screens wondering how on earth something like that was even possible.